Okay, it may not have been the prettiest, but the Eagles are 7-1, with A.J. Brown setting an NFL record and Jalen Hurts having one of his best performances as an Eagle. Although it looks like QB1 re-injured his knee, but should we be concerned heading into the matchup with Dallas? And reports are saying Howie Roseman is targeting another edge rusher. Plus, Kenny Gainwell was on his phone DMing a hater at halftime. You gotta be kidding me. Where's Rashaad Penny? That and everything else from Week 8. But first, let's run it. Hey guys, it always feels great to get the dub despite Washington playing us really close. I don't know, maybe I should have seen that coming with the last meeting in Week 4 coming down to a field goal. Either way, kudos to all the Eagles fans who made the trip to FedEx Field, and even converted a few commies like E-Rock shared. The lady who scanned our ticket leaned in and whispered, "Go Birds." Get me out of here! Well, I'm sorry man, because we almost ruined the Washington rebuild. Since remember before the game, it was reported that depending on how the Eagles game went, Washington would likely be looking to move on from pass rushers Chase Young and Montez Sweat. But like Lane Johnson said, we made it a lot tougher than it should have been. Yes, pave the lane, we did. Despite Jordan Davis getting cleared from the hamstring injury, which was kind of a surprise, the one Eagle that continues to remain inactive was Rashaad Penny, and we'll get to why that needs to change in a second. But Washington came out with a recipe of quick screens to keep the Birds' pass rush off balance, picking up a couple first downs, and then cornerback Eli Ricks being flagged for a pass interference to keep the drive alive, yet Ricks made up for it with a great tackle on the next set of downs. Unfortunately, Hurts and the offense couldn't make the most of it as they punted after just 3 plays, which was all the Commanders needed on their second drive when Brian Johnson gashed the #1 run defense in the NFL for the longest rush allowed this season of 29 yards, followed by Sam Howell finding Terry McLaurin for 6 points matched up with cornerback James Bradbury, who now over the last 2 weeks has been beaten deep more than he was all of 2022. Thankfully, Mr. Breed of One Jalen Hurts was able to flash a little running ability to convert on a 3rd and 7, despite Fox's Jay Glazer reporting before the game that Jalen's official injury is a bone bruise and that the team is trying to manage it as he plays through the symptoms. I mean, the good news is that it's not structural like a tear or really bad sprain, but it's pretty evident that it affects Jalen's running ability. Although the passing game looked just fine, finding Devontae Smith on a wide receiver screen that was able to pick up 9 yards and then going to A.J. Brown for 12 to move the chains, before trying to go back to the wide receiver screen, this time to DeAndre Swift, yet unfortunately he just couldn't get free after a good tackle by Kendall Fuller, forcing a Jake Elliott 51-yard field goal, which of course he converted to make it 7-3 Washington. However, that deficit only got bigger on the ensuing possession for the Commies, with Sam Howell being made to look like a prime Aaron Rodgers out there, consistently finding the right reads as he found several different targets marching down the field before taking advantage of a lapse in coverage to a wide-open Jahan Dotson for 21 yards, leaving all of us to question where the heck is the defense that shut down the #1 offense in the NFL last week?
I'm gonna dig it out of the trash!
I don't know, but it wasn't looking good early on. Of course, as we all realize, when we need an answer, just go with A.J. Brown since he's always open, which is exactly what QB1 did with the 1-11 exchange, proving its worth on multiple passes during the drive, especially the 20-yard pass on 3rd and 11 where the Commies decided for some strange reason to put Emmanuel Forbes on A.J. Brown, and then making them pay to get the ball up to the 3-yard line. So yeah, that's a great decision to get the ball to AJ. What's not a good decision is running the ball with Kenny G inside the red zone. Yet unfortunately, that's what OC Brian Johnson decided to do. And not only did the play not work, it turned into an absolute disaster when Gain Nunn coughed up the rock and gave the ball back to the Commies. Now, if you want a little silver lining on this play, like Jeff McClain inserted, at least it may finally once and for all make the coaching staff move on from Kenny as the favorite option in the red zone. Since remember, running backs coach Jamal Singleton has a philosophy to live by.
Ball security's job security. If you don't take care of the ball, you don't have a job.
Yeah, well, that's great, except only if you mean it.
We don't ever lose faith in Kenny. He had a fumble, and if Jalen has an interception, we don't take him out. If Kenny has a fumble, we don't take him out. If I'd have done that with AJ last year when he had a couple 3 games in a row with a fumble, that'd have been dumb. So we trust him.
Seriously, you trust him? Even after he was supposedly responding to DMs on Instagram after one follower called him a bum.
Boy, have you lost your mind, because I'll help you find it.
Okay, obviously in this age of information, it's hard to tell what's the truth and what's made up, and as you've probably seen by now, this has blown up on social media. But the screen recording and the message to the account do look pretty legit, although I understand some doubt to begin with. However, Sirianni ended up confirming it was real, saying, of course we talked to Kenny about that, about being locked in and being focused and to not respond.
And he knows he made a mistake responding back to that. that person.
I mean, it's just ridiculous to be, checking your phone on work and everything, but sorry. How do you guys feel about it, though? Honestly, I'm all the way to the point of wanting to see Rashaad Penny because 51 carries for 153 yards on 3 yards per carry for gain none isn't going to cut it. I mean, even if Penny isn't at the same level that he once was, I'm fairly confident he can manage 3 yards per carry, which is why I'll say hopefully we see a change soon. But getting back to the game, the costly turnover gave the ball back to the Commies where Hal picked up right where he left off, finding Jamison Crowder over the middle and then connecting on a big gain to Jahan Dotson to move the ball inside Eagles territory before completing a pass to Logan Thomas on third down, but the tight end was stopped a yard short, and thank goodness Washington went with a strange play call on 4th and 1 with an empty look which ended up being incomplete. By the way, it's worth noting that All-Pro JB should have picked off this ball but wasn't able to come up with it. Yet at least the offense got the ball back with a little under 2 to play where Hurts found skinny Batman over the middle for 15 yards, and then again came back to Smitty for 18 yards, putting Philly at the Washington 16 with plenty of time still on the clock. And it was at this moment in the game where A.J. Brown made the play of the year as the good coverage from Ben St. Juste didn't matter because like Michael Irvin admitted, that dude A.J. Brown may not just be the best receiver in the NFL, he very well may be the best player in the NFL right now. Yeah, no argument for me, which is kind of why I went with the reppin' A.J. for the game approach. I mean, that catch is just crazy. Although head coach Nick Sirianni said they got a little foreshadowing for it on Friday.
He made the exact same play in practice on Friday. On the same sideline, against the same coverage, with the same ball. Like, that was AJ's going to get, it was an unbelievable catch. It was a hell of a ball, too. And so, it was almost identical to the play that happened in practice. You love when that happens because you practice, you play how you practice.
It's still hard to even put into words the impact AJ has on this team, and that play definitely gave the Birds a lot of momentum. I should also mention that rookie right guard Tyler Steen briefly came in for Sua Opeta for 6 plays after he went out briefly with an injury and played really well in his absence. Unfortunately, the good vibes were short-lived with the Eagles trailing 14-10 and only 32 seconds remaining in the half as Hal continued to carve up the defense, finding Dotson on multiple passes to get down the field and into Philly territory before Joey Sly's 61-yard try made it 17-10 Commies at the half. Not gonna lie, I was a little concerned at this point, especially considering the Birds had only run the ball 4 times for 6 yards in the first half. But at least the Birds got the ball to start the second half, and what do you know, went with a run play to DeAndre Swift to start. And then a few plays later, Kenny Gainwell did well, picking up 17 yards, breaking a tackle, and converting a first down, because, come on, he's a good back after all.
Just when I think you couldn't possibly be any dumber, you go and do something like this and totally redeem yourself.
Okay, no, I'm not there at all, but the 17 yards were very much appreciated. Although Philly was eventually stopped on third down and decided to go for it on 4th and 3 from the Washington 32, when Mega John drew a PI penalty on Benjamin St. Juste to give the Eagles the ball at the 1-yard line. And I don't have to tell you what happened next, since any fan relatively familiar with the NFL knows exactly what happened, as the Birds ran the brotherly shove to score and tie up the nope, they fumbled.
Son of a...
Okay, obviously, if I didn't know how this game turned out, I wouldn't be laughing right now. In fact, it was so shocking that the NFL Instagram account felt like commenting saying, they've done the impossible. However, as bad as the turnovers were, the most alarming factor was how bad the Philly pass defense looked. But give defensive coordinator Sean Desai some credit because he's shown the ability to make some adjustments. Like Honest NFL said, while also sharing why we've had trouble with Washington offenses this season, interested to see if there's more disguise in man-zone alignment calls to finish this game for Desai. If it's not clear by now, the way the system presents itself is the absolute worst matchup for how an Andy Reid offense teaches their pre-snap process. It's a recipe for disaster to align in man looks and play man, or zone looks and play zone. That's why they had more success playing man from zone alignments late in week 4. Alright, you guys know I'm not an expert analyst, but it seems like disguising pre-snap is a no-brainer. Fortunately, whatever Desai said to the squad at halftime worked, at least on the Commies' opening drive. Despite Howell getting out of their own goal line, Haason Reddick blew up a play leading to an intentional grounding, which was nice to see the pass rush get home after not being able to do much in the first half, and the coverage making it way too easy for Howell to get rid of the ball. So the play forced a punt a few plays later. However, the offense wasn't able to get much going until going for it on 4th down from the Washington 45, where Hurts found Devontae Smith on what really didn't look like a catch. Yet thankfully, Commies leader Ron Rivera was hesitant to challenge. Well, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. Or in this case, both, since a few plays later, Hurts went to A.J. Brown in double coverage for the 25-yard score to tie the game at 17. And like Kelsey said afterwards, the offense right now feels feels like it's just throw it to AJ. On the flip side, the Middle Tennessee State safeties in Kevin Byard and Reed Blankenship weren't playing well, as Washington was able to move down the field with relative ease to retake the lead 24-17. And I could understand if you want to make an excuse for Reed Blankenship coming back from an injury or Kevin Byard not having a lot of time to prep since joining the team in the middle of the week, but the mayor isn't making any excuses.
We're professional football players. You know what I mean? You're supposed to make the hard look easy. So just because I came here on a Tuesday and practice the next day doesn't make me exempt from, not going out there and putting out a good product. That's just what it is. Like, nobody's going to feel sorry for us or nothing like that. Like I said, it's great that we got to win for sure. You always want to be able to watch the film and make those corrections when you win. It'd have been a terrible feeling if we lost the game. So, we're not going to have any excuses. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, there needs to be a standard for all of us. You know what I mean? Like I said, offense, defense, special teams needs to be a standard. And I think, as we watch the film, we have to say, hey, do we live up to the standard or do we not?
I could definitely appreciate that accountability from Byard, and personally, I'd expect the group to play better with more time to gel and improve the communication. The beauty is, despite giving up the TD, the Eagles answered quickly as Hurts found wide receiver 1 for 17 yards and an NFL record, which I'll get to in a bit. And then several plays later, took advantage of busted coverage to hit Devontae Smith for a 38-yard score to tie it back up. I realize it was a defensive error, but is it even a question that we have the best receiver duo in football at this point? Heck, they were literally perfect. Like Jimmy Kimsky pointed out, when Jalen Hurts targeted A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith today, he was 15 for 15 for 229 yards and 3 TDs. Literally an unstoppable duo.
Shake and bake. What does that do? Does that blow your mind?
I can't imagine trying to game plan against our guys. And this was where the momentum completely swung in our favor when Sam Howell came crashing back to earth, throwing a pick to the ghost, Ed Reed Blankenship, who returned it for 17 yards and made amends for a subpar day. And kudos to our new acquisition, Kevin Byard, for keeping Milchek in check.
And I told him on the sideline, when we were sitting down, I was like, hey, that's how you bounce back from a play. I said, this the way this league goes. Sometimes you're going to have some bad plays, but you have to stay in it. Don't sit on the sideline with your head down, kind of thinking about it. You have to flush it and go play the next play. And, that's a prime example of somebody making a bounce back play because he's staying in it. He's not, feeling sorry for himself.
Man, this is exactly what you wanted from a veteran presence like Byard, and really great to see the ad paying off so quickly. Which I guess I could say the same thing about Julio Jones, who made sure to capitalize on Reed's pick by making a great grab to put the Birds up 31-24 for his first score as an Eagle. Also, really cool to see the great reaction from the guys after the future Hall of Famer made the play. And it was extra special for QB1.
It's cool to see, cool to do. Cool to see him making a play for you. Out of all my years, I wouldn't say that I'd be throwing touchdown passes to Julio Jones, but here it is.
Love how much it means to Jalen, and I'd expect the Eagles to sign Julio since he's now used 2 of his 3 practice squad elevations. But getting back to the game, after taking the 7-point lead, we were pretty fortunate that the Commies didn't at least get into scoring territory, thanks to 2 Terry McLaurin drops on 3rd and 4th down to give the ball back to the Eagles, where we then reached, like Shane Half said, the portion of the game where the Eagles offense sits on the lead and ends the game. Oh wait, they just ran the ball for 1 yard and then threw 2 incomplete passes, taking hardly any time off the clock and giving it back to Washington. Fortunately, as we know, it didn't matter because Haason Reddick showed up in a big way on 4th and 5 to sack Howell for the defense's only sack of the day, and giving him 6.5 sacks over his last 5 games. Because when it matters most, that's when Haas is at his best.
Most importantly, it's the want to, it's the will. I have that, I try not to get discouraged in games when frustrating things are happening. And like I said, I continue to play ball until, there's no more time on the clock at the end of the day. But, man, it's a will, it's a want-to, it's determination. Man, the game means so much to me, A lot of people do this thing to have fun, man. I'm doing this because I'm trying to leave something behind. I'm literally trying to be one of the best at what I do at the end of the day. And that pushes me. That's what drives me more than anything.
Well, I think it's evident Haas is the best closer in football, since according to Bo Wolf, the 29-year-old's registered a league-leading 11.5 of his league-leading 26 sacks since 2022 in the 4th quarter. Late in games and obvious passing situations, number 7's unblockable. And the best closer in football essentially put the game on ice, where 3 plays later, Agent Zero took a fake brotherly shove for a brotherly sweep to go up 14. However, James Bradbury kept kept it interesting when he gave up another score, this time to Jamison Crowder for 26 yards, with Kendall Beck asking the question a lot of us would like to know: where did All-Pro JB go? I don't know, but he definitely hasn't been near as good this season. Obviously, it didn't matter after Devontae Smith recovered the onside kick, ending the game and getting the Eagles to 7-1, and I talked about it a little bit already. I can appreciate taking ownership of your mistakes. Like, for example, Slay, who said afterward, "Ugly game will be better." Yet the silver lining, like ESP shared, is this is the 9th time the Eagles have started 7-1 or better through 8 games, and they went to the Super Bowl 4 of the last 5 times they started 7-1. Of course, I don't know how far you want to go back with the statistics and if we're counting pre-merger stats or whatever, but the important part is that we're leading the NFC. And some other positives are that Sidney Brown made his presence felt with a massive hit on Terry McLaurin. Yes, I know, he wasn't the best in coverage, but to put up 8 tackles and 1 tackle for loss was still pretty solid, and he's only going to get better with more playing time. Jalen Hurts was also incredibly impressive, putting up 319 yards, 4 touchdowns on a 76% completion percentage. Now sure, you could point to the fact that Hurts did seem to re-injure his knee during the game at one point when he was brought down, as the cameras certainly showed a significant limp after Smitty's catch midway through the third quarter. But even if Jalen needs to stay in the pocket, he's more than proven that he's capable. Since, like Jeff Kerr showed, Jalen Hurts in the pocket since the start of last season is 72.7% completion, 5,331 yards, 31 TDs, 12 INTs, 8.6 yards per attempt, and a 107.1 rating, which ranks first in the NFL in completion rate, second in passer rating, third in yards per attempt, and 7th in TD passes. Now, just in case anyone's not aware, Jalen did end up getting about an hour's worth of treatment after the game on his knee, but doesn't sound like it'll keep him out of any games.
I'm here. You know, I told you guys I really wasn't speaking on it anymore. You know, I'm out there.
All right, I'm with you if you'd like a little bit more of an update on how he's feeling, but like I said, ultimately, I'm not worried about the injury lessening Jalen's play. After all, he played one of the best games of his career, and then when you add A.J. Brown, who made history as the only NFL receiver to record over 125 yards in 6 consecutive games, the offense has been solid, and I don't think it's a stretch for A.J. to be considered for MVP, but number 11's not thinking about that.
Not at all, not yet, you know, because I'm still working. You know, I think it'll be a time where I sit down and I'll be like, go AJ, but it's not it right now. You know, we got a big matchup, got Dallas. You know, from what I hear, they had a good game, and we got to clean up some stuff, and we got to go to work. It's going to be a war.
I love it. Time to play Dallas and already locked in. Especially with the trade deadline approaching, and NFL insider Matt Lombardo reporting that Howie Roseman is looking to add an edge rusher before the deadline. This coming after the Eagles announced their trade to move defensive tackle Kentavious Street to the Falcons, along with a 7th-round pick in 2025 in exchange for their 6th-round 2024 pick. But come on, we're not really trading a second for a guy like Chase Young or Montez Sweat, are we? Or possibly the bigger question is, why would the Commanders do it? That'd be crazy. I've also seen some big names like Vikings Danielle Hunter listed, or the Patriots' Josh Uche potentially being available. However, I'm just not sure that Howie will make a move when we have 2 stud edge rushers as it is. What do you guys expect to see, though? I did want to quickly touch on Jalen Carter's injury after Jeff McClain reported that the Breadman suffered a back injury during the game and got an MRI to have it looked at, but may not have a solidified update until later on in the week. Okay, also want to remind that channel memberships are live, and right now if you sign up on any level of membership from now until the end of November, you'll automatically be entered for a drawing for 2 tickets to any regular season game on the schedule. But curious to hear from you guys. What were your main takeaways from Week 8? The good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm feeling all right. This has been the Philly Special.